My name is Larnell Lewis. I'm a professional musician, artist, composer, producer.
My name is Dennis Passley. I think of myself as more of a professional creative than I do a saxophonist per se.
I am Dwight Jones. I am what am I? I'm a musician based here in the city. I specialize mostly in like woodwind instruments. I love improv, I love jazz, I love hip hop. I love a lot of music of like the North American Black identity.
KUUMBA 365
It's a celebration of like Black culture during like Black History Month. Every year I know KUUMBA does in collaboration with like Black artists, and in collaboration with Power Plant, Harbourfront Power Plant, to like, you know, have other artists come in and interpret the pieces.
Artists from different disciplines coalescing in the same space together, you know, interpreting art form with art.
Going to an art gallery and taking a look at the art and just expressing myself through song.
I really, really like interpreting different mediums into music.
Yeah, it's something I'm really, really proud that I was asked to do, first of all. And, you know, it's a challenging experience altogether, trying to piece together, you know, an art form to match something that you're visually seeing and inspired by.
The piece that I chose to respond to is called Pinhole 11, and it's a creation by Christina Leslie. It is a pinhole camera style photograph to pull together the idea of memories that her dad had of Jamaica in some of the parishes and some of the beaches. And this series of photos is just going to the different beaches that she had access to showcase what they look like with this type and style of photography. She would take found items on the beach, drill a pinhole, and use a digital camera to capture a photo through the pinhole. I think it's really interesting how she chose to use found items on the beach. I think it really represents what that moment is. It really represents an honesty to all of the experiences that that object might have had. And I think it really pulls together the idea that you are connecting with the space, connecting with the beach, connecting with that specific location, and using as much of that as possible to present an image of it in the most honest way. So found items at the time on the beach could be anything wooden, maybe something from a boat, maybe something from a shack. A thing that would happen often with instruments, especially in the Caribbean, is that they would take these items and make music out of them. Some of the things that I chose to represent that aspect is I had a bunch of shells. As a part of my kit, I had some bells. Another thing that I did was, in Jamaica, they have a rhythm called Nyabingi. And my understanding of it is, you know, in Rastafarian culture, they would be up in the mountains and they would use that beat to help them meditate. And so when I think about meditating and thinking about reflecting, naturally that was the first rhythm that came to mind. I'm coming from a background of Caribbean heritage. The photo has water in it of a particular beach, but it facing south to Lake Ontario is actually allowing the two waters to have that conversation. And that was a big inspiration for me for what I decided to compose. One of the things that also drew me to wanting to play this piece is to connect with those in Jamaica that had experienced the massive devastation from Hurricane Melissa. Wanting to also create this piece in a meditative way and also in a prayerful way, to send a prayer and to connect through the water, really.
So the artist Jeneen, like they have all of these minimal pieces. Jeneen's piece was really cool. The one with the smoked canvas. I like their use of using metal as a medium to do prints. So you get a lot of different textures, and the patinas were really nice. I thought those were really, really cool, especially how they change throughout the day and where the light hits and how the patina always feels like it's changing. It's like clouds. Every time you look at it, you're making out different images. You know what I mean? It feels like it's living.
Well, I'm not sure what the metal was, but it looked to me like what she did was take an overexposed camera and just kind of laid it on with epoxy on this metal. Yeah, it's just really beautiful. It's materials that you don't often see people use as well.
When they had those pictures, like I guess it was done in the epoxy as well, it looked like a body on the floor, like lying down, but it's almost like you can't silence these bodies.
Like you see the progression of the pieces. One looks like it's just buried in ice, and then it's thawing, and then it's thawing, and then it's thawing, and then it becomes a little bit more visual. And I just took that to mean that you cannot bury the truth, you know.
There's some powerful pieces, like there's a lot of things that I think that you know, can inform music in a different way, you know what I mean? Yeah. So.
This is completely different to how I normally create. Something that was really more just about interpreting what I saw it as, which was basically you cannot bury the truth. I wanted it to be something that is a little bit more heartfelt and warm, and I wanted it to feel like it was a thawing, right?
I think, for me, the things that stood out for me in Jeneen's exhibit, there was one in particular, it was in the corner, and it was just a sack torn up and had a face, and I couldn't help but laugh and smile at it, but cautiously laugh and smile at it. Like, it was very playful, you know what I mean? It was like, you know those horror movies, you see that child doll in the corner in the hallway, and it's eerie, and it's like, what? It's like it's this innocent object, but you know there's something more to that object. There's something more there. You just don't know what. That piece really brought me in, and knowing like Jeneen's story and knowing where they're from. That piece in particular to me spoke of resilience, of finding joy in times that you might not necessarily have time for joy. The entire meaning of their exhibit on what it represents, like them growing up in Yukon, in their small town there with their community and their family, understanding the conditions that people are faced with, decisions they have to make every day, what is the community relying on to survive. So I wanted to represent the path with the first part of the exhibit, like the tissue and the work suit, like walking through there into the space with all the other pieces. And I taught the footsteps in terms of the cadence and the rhythm, because sometimes it can be irregular, and that's like I wanted to like give you that eeriness, like because sometimes a little bit off kilter. But then having that as well with the sound of people, just having fun, and just doing their day-to-day in it, right? I think resilience, that really spoke to me. People who are resilient in their day-to-day life, having to go through the struggles repeatedly, day over day, having to be strong. I hope for the day that they could just be.
I would encourage people, even just beyond what we're doing here today, to just follow Jeneen, because there's more to her than just the artwork. Just how she sees the world politically is something that I think people need to hear.
I have been waiting for this moment for so long, to be able to meet and connect with people outside of the discipline of music. It's a necessary thing for artists to be able to make these connections and not be so siloed.
Something like this is an opportunity for artists of different disciplines coming in. It's something that you don't get very often in the city, and it needs to be supported. Like, let's just be real about it, right? Like, because we don't have those art spaces and we don't have these places where we can just go and experience art in a real way, then you know, you kind of have to take advantage of the ones that you do have, right?
I think it like shows the breadth of talent that the music community has here in Toronto.
Having access to a space where we can connect in this format, I think will change things in the city. Some kind of a space where we can connect and we can share and we can collaborate and express together. And to me, this was totally it.